Good morning and welcome yet again to Ignite Your Spark with Cynthia Wambui Otieno. I am truly excited that you are here this Friday morning because guess what? I'm here and I'm excited to be talking to you about a topic I began last week on When Love Dares. For those of you who were with me last week, you understand that we had some fun facts. And let me tell you the things that I have seen in the comment section. And some of you have even sent me text messages. I have checked. I have laughed because you guys are fun. You are interesting. You're daring. And you have done some incredible, brave things that I wouldn't have done myself. And some of you have also laughed at my daring episode of moving across the country. But guess what? 15 years later, we are still here. Anyway. Karibuni sana, please have a seat, warm yourself because it's a bit cold this July, and let's have a daring conversation about daringly single. Daringly single. But before I do start, I would like to talk about a beautiful book that my husband and I have written called When Love Dares. When Love Dares is a beautiful book about our story. Now, for those of you who want to know what went down when this girl, this Wambui, moved from Columbus, Ohio. Yes, after one date. One date locked me in and I moved thousands and thousands of miles back home. And I said, America, hasta la vista. If you'd like to know that story of our daring love, please go ahead and go to Amazon. You can purchase that book if you're in Kenya. I will go ahead and put the information in the comment section for you to get a copy of this book. It is only going for 1,000 shillings. So that is in Kenya. It's going for 1,000 shillings. In Amazon, you will get to see what the price is there. All right. So let's go ahead. Please welcome. Have a seat. Let's go ahead and talk about daringly single. Now, as you sit right there, a friend of mine asked me, I know you're listening, and she said, what content will you put in there about being single as a marriage and relationship coach? And so I want us to have that conversation, bearing in mind that she's going to be listening and she wants to make sure that she feels that she's heard. Daring single woman and man that is listening to me, what are some things that will be very important for you to have a daring relationship with yourself? And so that is the first and the most critical information I can give you as a marriage and relationship coach. As I have spent the last 10 years speaking and coaching and working with thousands of couples, men and women from different walks of life from all over the world, I can truly tell you these 4 things are going to be critical and very important for you to survive a daring relationship. It requires a daring individual to wake up one morning and embrace who she really is. It sounds so simple, but guess what? It is not simple. It takes a daring individual, a daring woman, a daring man to wake up in the morning and start to understand who she is and who they are. Start to understand what you really like. Start to understand, why did God put me here on earth? Is there a particular reason? And what is this person that was created and was put here on earth, what does she like? What are some of the things that make me who I am as a woman or a man? What are some of the things that give me my greatest satisfaction? What are the things that are my weakest link in being where I am at today? You may be 20, you may be 30, you may be 40 or 50. As a daring individual, you need to be able to evaluate and understand that about yourself and understand the flaws, the beauty. What are you bringing to the table? What is the best version of who you are that you're bringing to the table? Number 2, which is critical and important. Actually, if there's anything that you do not hear from me, I want you to hear this today. I want you to hear that one of the greatest things or gifts you can give to somebody else in a relationship is the gift of a surrendered woman or a surrendered man. What does that mean? The gift of a surrendered man or a surrendered woman is a gift of a woman or a man who has surrendered themselves to God. Remember, God is your maker. He created you. He is the author. I was teaching my children yesterday about the names of God. And one of the names that I was teaching them this week is El Olam. El Olam, the God who is everlasting, eternal, which means he is Alpha and Omega. And as I'm teaching them the names of God, I'm teaching them to pray his name, to pray and understand the quality and the attribute of who he is. Why? Because if I know who he is, I surrender, I yield myself to him. And if I yield myself to him, then I become more like him. And I become more like him even in the way I love myself and I love others. A surrendered woman or man is going to be able to have a surrendered relationship. That's critical. The third most important thing that is so important, even as I've been coaching and talking to different people, I've come to realize that one important conversation is creating environments. What does that mean? So create an environment that is safe mentally, physically, and emotionally, but also create environments of learning about yourself, learning about relationships. Learning and knowledge is so critical. It's so important. I have found that by reading and learning different perspectives from different parts of the world opens up my mind to understand myself versus what others experience. And so in a relationship, that becomes important capital or currency in a relationship that is a daring relationship. The fourth thing that is also very important is evaluate or even know the definitions of the things that are important to you. Let me give you an example. If you want to understand what love is, you need to ask yourself the question, in my own understanding, what is love? What is love? In my own understanding, what is marriage? In my own understanding, what does intimate relationships look like in a marriage setting? Now, why is that important? Because I have figured out, as I am coaching and working with couples in premarital classes or in couples who are already married, I have come to realize that when we are in relationships, we tend to give love based on my own personal definition of what love is. If for me, love, my definition of love is, giving, or I buy you, chocolates and flowers every week. That's how I give love. And my definition is that I'm loving you. Ask yourself the real question, what is my definition of dating? What is my definition of a relationship? What does that look like? What is courtship to me? Now, if we sit here and evaluate what everybody's definition, it's very different. It's very different. But it's also very important for us to understand, is my definition the truth, or should I learn what true meanings look like? Where do I find the meaning of true love? Where do I find the meaning of true relationships in dating? Where do I find the true definition of love, sex, and marriage? Because if we are propagating a definition that is not authentic or real, then we find ourselves in a lot of pain. So daring single women and men will actually define what love, sex, and marriage looks like, or love, dating, and relationships look like. And guess what? Once you know that, when somebody comes at you and wants to date you, they had better understand your dating language as much as you will want to understand theirs. And last but not least, hey, this one, I would sip a cup of tea for this one, because this is where the rubber meets the road. This is where I see our greatest flaw as we are daringly single. This one is the big kahuna. It is reality versus fake. reality versus fake. Now, authenticity is something that we need to ask ourselves. What we are seeing popularly in pop culture, in social media, is inauthenticity. And sometimes we can tell ourselves a lie for so long that we actually believe the lie, even of ourselves. So that then, even when you sit behind the camera like I am, or behind the mic like I am speaking, I am not really authentic. I'm not really real. What I have done is created a fake persona, a fake reality. And what happens is that becomes a very dangerous ground to enter into a relationship with. Because what happens is that there's nothing authentic about me. I am physically not authentic because my words, my deeds are not authentic. One of the greatest things that you can do for yourself and you can do for you as a daring single is be real. What you see, let it be what we get. Let it be that when people encounter you, they encounter the real Cynthia. They encounter the authentic Cynthia. What you say is what we hear and we understand. One of the most attractive things I've come to realize is authenticity is so rare today that when you see it, it is actually as rare as a gem. So when you encounter it, it's like fresh air. Have you met somebody who is so authentic and so real that you just want to keep listening to them? You want to keep talking to them. You will even want to follow them because you're wondering, how is it that they actually survive in this world where everything is plastic and fake? I tell you, ladies and gentlemen, your reality is a rare commodity. Your authenticity is a commodity that is beautiful in a dating relationship where you are real. And do you know where you can find that? You can find that when you have closely identified yourself under God. Your authenticity is what another individual requires. This world requires you to daringly be single and daringly stand out and be counted. You will stand out when you are your full authentic version. So let me have a challenge for us this week. What authenticity are you going to propagate this week? What are the things that you need to shake off? Shake off. Because you know what? They need to be shaken off you so that then you can walk authentically you. Is it some things that you've been saying? Maybe you're talking kind of different. Maybe you have become brash and abrasive because you think that that's what's being cool. And maybe for some of us, we have thought that maybe being with a certain group or clique of people makes us popular and great. Or even that if I go to a particular place makes me all that and a bag of chips and a cherry on top. Is it possible that now you can begin to look in the mirror and say, this is who I really am. This is whom I want to become. And this is how I'm going to do that. Join me. Subscribe on this channel, Ignite Your Spark with Cynthia Wambui Otieno. I want to hear your comments. Imagine I read them myself and I actually respond. I want you to join me every Friday as we speak on this daring conversation when love dares. Have a pleasant week.